A very rare summit took place in Alaska. On one side, the US President Donald Trump, on the other side, the Russian President Vladimir Putin. They met for over 2 hours, and it began with a lot of smiles and a lot of handshakes. Now, this was a very unusually warm welcome for a US adversary behind Europe's biggest war since 1945. Behind closed doors, they discussed Ukraine's war, then faced a press conference. No deal at the moment and no questions. There was a vague talk of understanding that has happened, and there was plenty of praise. In fact, as they were leaving, Vladimir Putin invited Donald Trump to Moscow, raising a lot of questions. Will the next meet actually happen in Russia? Donald Trump said his meeting with Putin was a 10 on 10. He said he wants the killing in Ukraine to stop, but also said that at the moment a deal is not done yet. He has now put the ball in Zelensky's court. He promised that he will now set up a Zelensky-Putin meeting very soon, and he'll call NATO as well as Zelensky to have a conversation about what transpired in this meeting. The US President further claimed great progress has been made, and he said that he has personal ties, great ties with Putin. President Putin said Ukraine's security must be ensured, and he sincerely wants to end the war. Also said that sabotaging the talks should not happen from Ukraine's side now, and he's expressed that an agreement can actually be made and that can pave way for peace. This is what Vladimir Putin said. Further declared that there would have been no war at all had Donald Trump been the president in 2022.
So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team, whose faces, who I know in many cases, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss, but especially this one right over here. But we had some good meetings over the years, right? Good productive meetings over the years, and we hope to have that in the future. But let's do the most productive one right now. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed, and President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So,
incidentally, when the new administration came to power, bilateral trade started to grow. It's still very symbolic. Still, we have a growth of 20%. As I've said, we have a lot of dimensions for joint work. It is clear that the U.S. and Russian investment and business cooperation has tremendous potential. Russia and the U.S. can offer each other so much in trade, digital, high-tech, and in space exploration. We see that Arctic cooperation is also very possible, and our international context, for example, between the Far East of Russia and the West Coast of the U.S. Overall, it's very important for our countries to turn the page, to go back to cooperation. It is symbolic that not far away from here, at the border between Russia and the U.S., there was a so-called international date line. I think you can step over, literally, from yesterday into tomorrow. And I hope we'll succeed in that, in political sphere.